run colder. I lead it, Persian, Steve, and Mystic. Whole squad locked in, we go ballistic. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Whistle get blown, we break the quota. From the first hot take to the closer. This our season now. Move over. Clock hit zero, that's pre-show pressure. 3 deep crew, that full court measure. I lead a Persian, flame on the mic, breaking down plays like he called that hike. Steve with the stats, the ice in the vein. Sees every route, every yard, every lane. Mystic calling future, seeing through smoke. Predictions hit hard like a safety stroke. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Run, let's go up, lights run colder. I lead the Persian, Steve, and Mystic. Whole squad locked in, we go ballistic. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Whistle get blown, we break the quota. From the first hot take to the closer. This our season now. Move over. Line 'em up. Who on heat? Who on heat? Saturday legends on the midweek scene. Who on heat? Kick off, talk till the sun goes down. New kings here, that's a title bout. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Run, let's go up, lights run colder. I lead the Persian, Steve, and Mystic. Whole squad locked in, we go ballistic. Game time grind, it's a takeover. Whistle get blown, we break the quota. Game time grind, say the name louder. This our season now. Full power.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, even good morning for some. It's a brand new day here at the 4th and 10U Network. What is up, gentlemen? It's a new day. We have more college football to talk about. Some craziness stuff happening in the college football world. But before we do so, how you guys doing? How's everybody doing, gentlemen?
Ollie, Steve, doing well after a wonderful day at the office, as they say. All the sarcasm in the world. I am beyond happy to be here. You know what's funny in that look you just had there? You kind of just gave a Fred Durst look into the camera there. I just want to throw that out there.
Fred Durst look.
Wow.
Wow. That's what my thought was. What up, Steve? How's everything with you doing?
And it's going. It's another great day in college sports because we're live. And then, that's just how it goes.
When you're live, you are live. Yes, we are. Make sure everybody hits the like buttons. Subscribe if you're brand new. If you're on the X side or even on Twitter, not Twitter, I'm sorry. X and Twitch is what I meant to say. Come over to YouTube. Come to @4th and 10U. Subscribe. We're on a road to get to 100 subscribers. When we get to 100, we're going to start giving away some some good, really nice giveaways, which I cannot wait for. But before we get into that, my weekend was pretty good. How was your guys' weekend? It was my birthday weekend. Technically, my birthday was Sunday. I celebrated on Saturday. My bros took me out on to the movie. We went and saw the new Mortal Kombat movie, which is fire, by the way. Really good. I loved it, to be honest. If you love the game, you love the movie. Plus, some of the characters that they introduced, very, very funny. That also being said, I also did some go-kart racing. A buddy of mine at the track here, they have those electronic go-karts, and he turned it up on full blast. Me and my friend were drifting around the corners. It was a lot of fun, man. You had to be there. But yeah, how was your guys' weekend? Did you guys do anything? Anything crazy?
No, same thing. Not necessarily like birthday wise, but obviously Mother's Day and hanging out like that. We took my mom and the wife's mom to that Michael Jackson movie on Saturday. Incredible. Awesome movie, great story. I've always liked Michael. Great stuff. Funny enough, we actually saw that Mortal Kombat the Thursday it came out. I'm right with Ali. Same sentiment. Great movie. Great sequel to the great original so far. Obviously in the remake of the series, right? I'm excited to see where the next part goes.
Yeah, definitely. And please let me know if I'm wrong. I felt this one had more fanfare from people that are fans of the actual game than it even did if you're just looking at it from a movie standpoint. I
100%.
thought, that's what I said. I especially the fatalities. I did love what they did with Barack and God, what is that other character's name? Primarily Barack, but there's another character that they added. Oh, Kano. Kano was next level, bro. I'm sorry, Kano was like next level, and that he was hilarious, bro. There's one line for people that haven't seen it, I'll just say this one line. But when he calls the guy and basically says that, man, you look like Voldemort's testicles or something, or nutsack, to that effect. That was hilarious. I'm sorry, it was funny as fuck, to be honest. You had to watch it. But I do agree with you. If you haven't seen the Michael movie was really good too. Brought me memories of when I grew up during the 80s and kind of what was going on with like MTV and the music videos from that time period. So that was really cool. I definitely enjoyed it. I see Joe Rist is actually watching us from Mount Fiji. This guy travels like it's his life. Every day he'll be in a new country. But he's watching from Mount Fiji. So that's pretty awesome. So shout out to you, Joe Rist. Who else is in the chat? Persian Immortal, how you doing, sir? Looks like that's all the people that I see for right now, except the usual suspects. I see Steve in there. But yeah, man, we got some stuff to talk about when it comes to college football, so I cannot wait. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk about some of the recommended, call outs that we had from the audience last week. People are trying to say, hey, why don't you talk about some of these other players? Let's actually talk about them, right? So right off the get-go, before I start, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new. I'd really appreciate that. But let's go ahead and get into it. First off, I want to talk about CJ Bailey. Let me actually fix the screen for you guys. CJ Bailey. If you don't know, CJ Bailey has quickly emerged as one of the most promising young quarterbacks in college football and the face of NC State Wolfpack's offense. The Miami native stands around 6'6". Dude, that's like as tall as most offensive linemen, and 210 to 215 pounds. Possessing a prototypical NFL quarterback frame, among with an impressive athleticism and arm talent that has scouts projecting him as a potential future first-round NFL draft prospect. Very interesting. CJ Bailey broke out as one of the ACC's top young signal callers during the 2025 season, throwing over 3,105 yards, 25 touchdowns, and just 9 interceptions, while completing almost 69% of his passes across 13 games. He also added 215 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, showing legitimate dual threat capability. Over his first 2 collegiate years or seasons, Bailey accumulated more than 5,500 passing yards and 42 touchdowns, establishing him as one of the most productive quarterbacks in the conference at a young age. One of Bailey's biggest strengths is his elite arm and ability to attack every level of the field. He can drive deep outs throw vertically with touch and make off-platform throws that many college quarterbacks simply cannot make. His size allows him to see the field clearly from the pocket, while his mobility gives him the ability to escape pressure and extend plays. So far, what I understand, Mystic, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have to worry about this guy not being able to see past the offensive line.
1,000%.
Okay, I just wanted to point that out. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. Bailey also showed tremendous poise during pressure situations, including a comeback victory against Cal, where he threw for over 300 yards despite heavy pressure and multiple sacks. His 329-yard performance against Syracuse was the most passing yards by an NC State true freshman quarterback since Philip Rivers in the 2000 future, since Philip Rivers in 2000, further highlighting how advanced his game already is. Didn't Philip Rivers' son also decide to go to NC State as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's there's something there. Look at that. Scouts and analysis consistently praise Bailey, his pocket command, football IQ, leadership, and high-level physical tools. With former Florida State coach Jimbo Fisher, yes, that man from up north, Jimbo Fisher, even saying Bailey has the traits to become a future number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Future number 1 overall pick. What do you think about that, gentlemen? What do you guys think about CJ Bailey?
You know, I'm sure Steve has way more, probably more of an insight than probably what I'm going to say, because I'm just really just kind of looking some things up about the guy.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about him, but obviously just not one of those names that comes right to mind. Well, I look this up, and I think what I want to see growth from him, because he's a sophomore, right? I'm not gonna murder the kid for having, these moments, but he plays good, and then he runs into Notre Dame, and their offense scores 7 points, and he has a touchdown, obviously 7 points, 3 interceptions, and then gets into a shootout with Pitt and has 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, looks pretty good. Maybe the defense could have helped him. Obviously, they gave up 53 points. They beat a Georgia Tech team, again rolling, and then again run into another top defense, scores only 7 points, except for, I don't know if he ran. Yeah, he ran for the touchdown this time when they played Miami, and he had 2 interceptions. So I just want to see him elevate his level of play against elite defenses. And I don't have any, from what I can tell, the kid's awesome. You're talking 53 all-purpose touchdowns, 90 interceptions in 2 seasons. It looks like he played as a true freshman. I'm cool with it. I think the kid's 6'6", and the kid has an arm and can run, and that's awesome, dude. Like I said, I just want to see him elevate himself against the elite defenses.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. What do you think, Steve?
What's curious is that he ended up going to NC State anyway, because, and I had to go back and check. He had a full offer from the U and turned it down to go to NC State. So I'm wondering if that's because he was going to be the starter as a true freshman or not. I don't know. That's for him and himself to know. Again, he has the arm. He has enough athleticism. He's got to get better against the better teams, but also, he's at NC State. The talents, he doesn't have a bunch of 5 stars around him everywhere, so he's got to elevate those around him What he can't do is have games like he did against where yes, I understand had a top 5 defense, but you can't walk out with 7 points offensively, 2 interceptions, and no touchdowns passing. Like you got to step up in those moments, especially if, as you said, Ali, he's going to be a first round pick.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not the one saying that, by the way. This is Jimbo Fisher saying.
Well, no,
he's
no, what you
one
were
overall.
reading.
I just think that I do understand why people think he's going to be first round talent because of the fact that he's 6'6" and has a strong arm, can make all the crazy off the back foot throws, and has the dual threat ability and everything. And even against constant pressure and multiple sacks, he still was able to throw over 320 some yards in a game. I think that's pretty impressive. But I don't know. I see what your point of view is. It is interesting how he decided to go away from Miami versus just staying at the U, because he is a Miami kid. So,
but to be fair, he's from Hollywood.
Hollywood is Miami, though, if you really think about it. But I get you. I get what you're saying, though. Look, it's really interesting. I mean, let's look at another prospect. This gentleman, this was also by demand, Israel Abrams, which, if you don't know, Israel Abrams, let me bring his information here. Israel Abrams is rapidly emerging as one of the more premier quarterback prospects in 2027 recruiting class and future centerpiece of the Miami Hurricanes offense. He stands around 6'4", 187 pounds, give or take. Abrams combines prototypical quarterback size, advanced arm talent, and mobility, and elite production that has made him a consensus 4-star to 5-star caliber recruit nationally. Abrams exploded onto the national scene at Montini Catholic, which is Illinois. It's in Illinois, from what I understand, where he became one of the most statistical productive quarterbacks in the country. During his sophomore season, he threw for over 2,033 yards passing and 29 touchdowns, helping lead Montini to Illinois' 3A state championship. He followed that up with a dominant junior campaign, passing for an incredible 4,072 yards and 40 touchdowns, while also adding an additional 10 rushing touchdowns and averaging over 290 passing yards per game. His championship game performance further elevated his reputation as he reportedly threw for over 425 yards and 4 touchdowns in the Illinois Class 4A title game. Holy crap, 425 yards. What separates Abrams from many young quarterbacks is his combination of arm elasticity, I think that's how you say that, touch, and poise under pressure. He shows the ability to make every throw on the field, deep sideline shots, layered throws over linebackers, and quick timing routes with impressive consistency for his age. His mechanics are advanced, and he displays strong anticipation and decision-making, rarely forcing the football into dangerous windows. Scouts and recruits and analysis consistently praise Abrams for his football IQ, pocket composure, and natural leadership qualities, traits that have helped elevate his team to big moments. His frame still has room to add additional muscle. I agree with that. Overall, Israel Abrams is projected to be a high-level Power 4 starter with legitimate NFL upside. Based on what I'm reading, it also sounds like first-round talent. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of Israel Abrams?
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, again, I don't know that much about the kid. From what you're reading off, sounds like he's got a lot of talent. I'm wondering if there's going to be some drama with the kid, though. I don't know if you saw, but after he committed to Alabama, he went ahead and took some official visits with Auburn, Purdue, and Kentucky. So I'm wondering if coming into next season, if he changes that commitment or not.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. Listen, He's from Illinois, and correct me, Mystic, if I'm wrong. Purdue's in Illinois area, isn't it?
I think so. The Boilermakers.
I want to say that's in Illinois, right?
I feel like Illinois. Hang on.
Yeah, it's in Indiana, West Lafayette, Indiana.
I was gonna say or Indiana. That's why I said wait a second. God dang.
So
Yeah.
it's
Go ahead.
close to the area, though. It's close
Yep,
to that area, right?
Yep, go ahead.
So I get why he would visit there. That's probably a school that has some popularity based on his area, the region that he's in. I get it. But I've seen players take visits to other schools, even though they're committed to a school. To give you an example, more recently, Chris Henry Jr., the top receiver recruit in the last recruiting cycle that everybody was fighting over, right, was committed to Ohio State, but he still went to places like Oregon and took the visit still, right? That happens. You cannot hold grudges for these players taking visits. Everybody's trying to make the best decision for themselves, if you think about it, because reality is the school you go to and what they're going to do to help you get to where you want to be, that the school you go to can make the biggest difference, right? You go to Ohio State to be put on a national platform, or even Oregon to be put on a national platform that's going to give you a trajectory to the NFL draft, for example. I'm just using those two teams. There's a lot more teams you could do that with. But you don't go to like a San Diego State or a Toledo. I mean, Toledo is starting to make a name for itself, but it's like a one of, not like multiple players. You get what I'm saying? I think you don't go to small schools like that and expect the same trajectory. So you got to make a smart decision for yourself. You want to be put in the best situation to make sure that your talent is being properly shown. I don't hate players commits for taking multiple visits, even though they're committed to somewhere. You want to make sure in the ultimate end that you're making the best decision.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing. I mean, we're talking about a kid who just completed his junior season of high school. We're not talking about a senior here. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe we see him switch potentially. But I mean, as of right now, I mean, you have one of the higher schools locked in. You're committed. You're good to go. There ain't nothing wrong with unturning some stones and again making sure you're making the best decision for you as a football player. This dude went in basically 24 straight games when he was given the starting role. His sophomore season, he hasn't lost a game since pretty much becoming the starter his sophomore year. We're talking 69 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Like, the dude's certified baller, absolutely. So again, we'll see what happens at the next level. But winning 2 state championships, sophomore, fourth game is or week 5. Yeah, week 5, he took over as a sophomore, led that team to a state championship, and then junior started the whole season, won another state championship, and he went from 10 games, 2,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 3 picks to starting 4 more games and having 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 6 picks. Like, the kid absolutely tears it up. You're talking, like you guys talked about, dual threat, has the ability to do multiple things. Highlight state in the biggest game, state title, 425 yards passing and 4 passing touchdowns. Rises to the occasion. So definitely something to watch. I like what I'm hearing from the kid for sure.
Yeah, I also liked how they described like his arm talent and how he can lay throws up under, behind and underneath the linebackers in different areas. It sounds like he has a lot of arm talent. I like his body build. I do think he does need to gain a little bit more muscle. 190 pounds is kind of light to me, just, to be honest. So obviously he can build that up a little bit. But I think this kid has a lot to show. I'm not too worried about grudges about who I visited, what I did during the recruiting process. Now, let's say, even if you're a team that happened to, and I'll give you an example, right? A quarterback that most recently had some controversial, I don't want to say controversial situation, but A lot of people thought he was going to go to Texas Tech. He was going to transfer. Dylan Raiola, right? Everybody thought he was going to go to Texas Tech. You know, there's a lot of controversy about Dylan Raiola because of who he tries. I don't want to say he's trying to mimic, but a lot of people say he mimics Mahomes and whatnot. He goes to Oregon. I'm sorry. He goes to Oregon thinking he's going to be the starter, right? After Texas Tech decided to go with a different quarterback, Sorbsby. And come to find out, that starter who thought he was going to go to the draft decides to stay. And now there's rumors that Texas Tech, because Sorbsby has the whole gambling issue, there's rumors that Dylan Raiola might transfer again to Texas Tech finally. Well, prior to him going to Nebraska, he was committed to Ohio State. He was committed to Ohio State for a very long time until I want to say the last couple days of recruiting. And he ended up flipping at the last minute to go to Nebraska. Do I hold a grudge against him? Does the team hold a grudge against him? No, they don't. They've forgotten about it. You know, you move on. You know, it's not like it's another Jeremiah Smith situation where certain team or teams, we all know which team it is I'm referencing, continuously tried to get this man to come and transfer to them, right? It's not like they won't let go. I think teams that hold on to stuff like that, I think it's just petty. That's just my opinion. Any final thoughts on that, Steve, before we move on?
Nope.
Yeah. So, Israel Abrams, CJ Bailey, check those guys out. If you guys ever want us to break down or give us our thoughts on a certain player, make sure you send it to me or Steve or Mystic. Send it to us on X, or you can even send it in the comments after the show. At the bottom, there's going to be comments that you can leave. I do read those from time to time, so definitely put it there as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I see G2's up in here. CCRR is in here. How you doing, sir? Liz, how are you doing? See if anybody else I missed. It's primarily Joe Rist. Daniel Berry Sports, how you doing, sir? I see you now. Yeah, so shout out to everybody. Make sure you hit the like button. We got a lot to talk about. Reports are coming out. 5-star commit, Ohio State commit Jameer Brown, who is, supposedly is shutting down his recruiting. He will not visit any other schools. That's a big pickup. He's a 5-star commit. Jameer Brown, definitely check him out. Maybe we'll do a breakdown of him at some point. What other news do I have? There is something I want to talk about, actually. Let me pull up something real quick because I do want to talk about it. Just bear with me. I'm so sorry about what the heck is going on here? X does not like me today, Mystic. All right. Oh no. Yep. Oh no. Over the weekend, there was some news in regards to Ryan Day. And I want to
and his offspring.
Yes, his offspring. Let me share the screen. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Okay, so Ryan Day's son has committed to Northwestern. Again, Ryan Day, the son of head coach of Ohio State. Some would say he has the best head coaching gig you can have in college football, right? I'm not going to say that's not completely true because I think there's a couple gigs, but I want to say he's definitely one of the top 4 gigs you can have in college football, right? Has committed to a team in the Big Ten not named Ohio State. So that was all over this weekend, all over my X. People were asking me what I thought about it, so I figured I'd take this time to talk about it. So if you remember was it last week's episode, we talked about the kid from Michigan saying that he felt disrespected that he didn't get an offer from Ohio State. Do you guys remember that conversation?
No, I actually don't remember that conversation. I'll be honest.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Well, we talked about it on here. We talked about a kid from Ohio State. Not Ohio State. I'm sorry. He plays for Michigan. And he was talking about how he felt disrespected.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought you were saying that he said that. I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember that conversation.
Yeah. So the player that plays for Michigan felt disrespected by Ohio State because of the fact that they didn't offer him or provide him an offer. And he knows and plays football with the son, RJ Day, of Ryan Day, right? And he actually knows Ryan Day personally. So he kind of felt kind of disrespected about it. Well, here's RJ Day. That's his first name is RJ. Committed to Northwestern. Not even his dad's school. Right? To me, and the reason I bring this up, to me, I think that you have to have a certain mindset to play for family or for friends, right? You can't expect handouts, and you got to be able to cope with what's best for the team. And there was an interview, and I don't have that interview, and I can't show it technically because it's copyrighted. But there's an interview that they did with his son. He talks about the mindset and why Ohio State wasn't a fit for him. And I get what he's saying. He talks about, what he wants to basically make his own path and whatnot. I want your guys' opinion. Do you think this is a smart move by Ryan Day's son to commit to a school that's not Ohio State, but also in the same conference as his dad's team? Do you think it's smart? Do you think it's the right fit for him? What do you think about coaches' sons or kids playing for opposite schools? What are you guys' thoughts on it?
I'm kind of indifferent about it all. I look at it from multiple lenses. First of all, hats off to the kid for not taking the dad's, golden ticket and daddy, punching a ticket for him, Deion Sanders. Shout out to the Day family for, doing it the right way. From a competitive standpoint, quite interesting that you have another head coach in another team's facility looking at shit, seeing what's going on and seeing the practice stuff. And it's like, man, but at the same time, it's like, there's a difference in those facilities, right? There's a Northwestern to an Ohio State. There is a gap there. So I don't know. I don't really see too much of a big deal about it. I think it's awesome. Again, shout out to him for, like we were just talking about. I think the kid's trying to do what's best for him and not what's best for, his dad's reputation, right? He's just trying to carve his own path. He's not like, hey, my dad's the head coach of Ohio State. He's like, no, I want to be my own football player. But I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and the other flip side of it is, to be fair, RJ Ryan is a 3-star recruit, right? So not saying that he's not talented, but you go to a team like Ohio State and you got to play with the best of the best, and there's always going to be a 4-star or 5-star recruit ahead of you at all times. You're really not going to get the best opportunity, I would say, to be able to show what you have, right? That's number one. Number two, if I'm a player and if I'm an athlete, I don't want to ever force my dad to make a decision if he's the head coach that would force him to make a decision that is not in the best interest of the team. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want that handout. I don't want to be forced in a position or role just because my name is Day or whatever my name is on the back of my jersey, right? I don't want that. I want you to pick me because I'm the best decision for the team. I have the best talent to provide the best opportunity for success for the team. That's how I want to be picked. Ohio State already has so many 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits that are in the pipeline. It's really hard for him to get a real opportunity. Now, before Steve goes, I want to drop some thunder here. Who was Let me actually verify I'm correct about this because this is going to be funny as heck, actually. One second here.
Quack.
Quack. Who was Ryan Day's oh God. Let me pull it up because this is talk about full circle. Who was Ryan Day's coach in his playing career? Do you remember who his coach was?
I do not.
So Ryan Day played for, I think it's the University of New Hampshire. And his offensive coordinator, you ready for this? His offensive coordinator was Chip Kelly. The same Chip Kelly who was the head coach of the Eagles, where Ryan Day was a coach at in the NFL. The same Chip Kelly that was a offensive coordinator for Ohio State who won a national championship off of. And now the same Chip Kelly, who I believe is the offensive coordinator or is a coach at none other Northwestern.
That's right.
So I just thought that was kind of funny how it makes complete sense why he would pick Northwestern. He's technically following his dad's footsteps in a sense, based on the coach itself, not necessarily the school, but the coach itself. So I thought that was I thought that was very interesting, and kind of a cool story type of thing. But Chip Kelly is their new offensive coordinator, and if RJ goes there, he'd be playing under Chip Kelly. I think it's very interesting. What do you guys think about that? Or Steve, you haven't really talked about this subject yet. Tell me what you think.
Well, before I take my bias out of it, I hope this kid gets the most annoying piece of gum stuck to the bottom of his shoe and then steps in dog dookie for turning down USF. So, but outside of that,
To be fair, did he even have an offer from USF?
it was between us, Northwestern, and another team, and he chose
Because the
Northwestern.
schools I heard, just to be fair, was Northwestern, Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
Purdue. I heard was in talks, but
Purdue.
also Syracuse was the other one I heard of.
So what I was reading, the thing I was reading, and I sent it, I believe, to you guys too. He narrowed it down to USF, Purdue, and Northwestern, and he chose Northwestern. So
I gotcha.
I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. Life, that's life, right? Like I'm just being biased and trolly with it. I mean, I'll give this kid one thing. He's not Shador Sanders. He did not lean on his daddy to get him a starting job in college. No, like he's trying to go about it on his own and chose a team with a coach he knows and obviously probably trusts, right? And ultimately, that's why I think USF was the only reason USF was even on his radar was because of a certain head coach. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So
yeah.
it's good for him, and I give him the respect of he chose a school where he's gonna go, and if he wins the job, it's because he was the best player, not because he was the coach's son. Not saying Ryan Day would have done that because I don't think Ryan Day would have done that, but at least there's no question if he wins that job.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that sentiment. I do think he did take he took the longer route, right? Which sometimes it translates to the better route. To be honest, you might learn something, you might become a better player because of the route you took. You didn't take a handout. It shows what type of work ethic the kid has, and we'll see what happens. I wish him the best of luck. I'm kind of excited to see this version of Northwestern. I don't think I've seen a Northwestern with a Chip Kelly at the at the helm of the offense, though. They've always had like, how do I say this? In Mystic, you can tell me what you think, but I always think of them as one of these Midwest teams that, though they don't necessarily have all the talent, they find a way to play hard at times. You know what I mean? They always find a way to play really hard. So it's very interesting.
Team, and usually all they do is run the damn football.
A lot of times they're a really run first team, but they have capability to surprise people every once in a while.
That's going to be real interesting with that Chip Kelly situation. I'll definitely be paying attention to a couple matchups this year with that, because that could. When Chip Kelly was at his best, he used that offense, and by the fourth quarter, your defense would be gassed.
Yeah.
Because that dude was running so many damn plays. If he could get just a touch of that at a Northwestern, you'd probably, like you said, you'd probably see him have some upset, interesting wins this year, for that head coach with the offense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm really curious to see how it all gets put together over there at Northwestern. So kind of excited. But speaking of Matt, go ahead.
Before we go too far, I was thinking about something earlier and the name popped up to me. Actually, I was thinking about it the other day and the name popped up while I was doing some stuff today. Speaking of Ohio State quarterbacks and stuff, what happened with Aaron Nolan?
Aaron Nolan?
And I talked. Yeah, you and I talked.
What happened to Aaron Nolan? I know what he did. He positioned himself as the heir to South Carolina because now he's backing up Lenore Sellers in his last year. That's what he's doing. Why he did that, I don't know. I felt he should have either stayed where he was at or maybe USF I thought was probably the better option, to be honest, because he would have been a starter instantly. But Aaron Nolan is at University of South Carolina, and he's back.
Didn't he transfer again, though?
Did he transfer from South Carolina? Because he transferred from Ohio State, but that was I think
he went to Memphis.
Oh, maybe he did. Let me check. I thought it was South Carolina.
Yeah, I was reading earlier that he was up in a quarterback competition in Memphis.
Oh, he is. You're right. I didn't even know. Shit, I know he went to South Carolina. But now I guess he is at Memphis. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, like I remember you and I were talking about him when USF got their new head coach, and we were talking about options at quarterback because we knew Bynum Brown was leaving. And it's like, I know you said that Ohio State was super high on him, and then he left and he went to South Carolina, and like now he's at Memphis. Like what do you think is causing this constant jump around where he can't find a position to actually win and compete for?
Well, the problem is there's always someone ahead of him. That's the problem. At Ohio State, they brought in Aaron Nolan thinking he would be the guy, but then you also had Julian Sayin, a 5-star recruit who transferred from Alabama, and it kind of worked out for Julian Sayin. You know what I'm saying? And then you got, you also have, Lenore Sellers that he had to be behind, and now he's going to have a whole nother year of Lenoris that he had to be behind. So obviously that wasn't going to work out. Memphis is one of the schools, I believe, that has a quarterback battle going on. So I do think this might be his chance to finally see some starts. So we will see. We will see. But he was definitely one of the top-rated dual-threat QBs for his recruiting class. I can tell you there's videos of him looking very electric on the field. So we'll see what happens with him, to be honest. But yeah, I want to keep it moving though. I do want to share this real quick because some news came out. We know this is the week that everybody's schedules are getting released. Well, the Labor Day weekend schedule got released. Did you guys see this? Labor Day weekend, some big time matchups, right? We got Colorado versus Georgia Tech. That's going to be a sweet one. I'm willing to bet Georgia Tech wins that game. That's going to be an 8 p.m. special on September 3rd. Then you got the U playing Samford. 9 p.m. Eastern on September 4th. Followed by September 5th, you got noon action with Coastal Carolina, and I think that's Alabama, right? Yeah. And then you got Baylor versus Auburn. That's going to be an interesting game. LSU and Clemson is always a big game, big matchup, no matter when. That's the game to watch. September 5th. You got Louisville versus Ole Miss, and then followed by Florida State versus SMU. Some very interesting games. Labor Day weekend, a lot of college football action. I cannot wait. I also found out the Texas game, Ohio State versus Texas, which I believe is going to be September 12th, is going to be a primetime game. The whole complaint was last year is that their first game should have been primetime, and they made it a big noon game. Now it's going to be a primetime, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
I think that game's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm gonna go ahead and
say Clemson game's gonna be great.
That Clemson game's gonna be good, but I got LSU winning that game. I don't know. It's something with LSU. They always find a way. I got Georgia Tech beating Colorado. Baylor and Auburn is interesting because Baylor has the former Gator quarterback now, right?
Yeah, but Auburn's gonna win that game.
You think so?
There's a specific quarterback who's about to run all over that defense.
Okay. All right. We'll see. We'll definitely see. I think also Bama is going to probably beat Coastal Carolina. I think they're going to beat the crap out of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I think. Very interesting. Who do the Bulls play, by the way?
I don't think we play till I was just looking at it. I think we play a couple days later. 1 second.
Well, you guys play week 1 instead of week 0?
Hang on. Let me see. Yeah, we don't play for. We play.
Shout out to Nene and Mr. Polk in the chat. I see you guys now. How you guys doing? And Steve, someone is calling you a tuaneer in the chat.
No, he asked if I was.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Isn't that kind of the same thing?
Liz and CRR were talking about Tua in Atlanta because they were talking about Tua, and I said, well, I mean, Tua's starting in Atlanta, and then Liz was talking about how they're gonna win like 2 games, I think it was. I was like, I mean, he won 7 games, literally just handing the ball off to Devon Achane the whole game. I think he can do that to Bijan, but we'll see. We play week 1 against FIU on the 5th.
Yeah, you guys should be able to take care of business.
Can I throw something out here?
Sure. Yeah.
Obviously, besides wherever Iowa is, I don't even know who they play to open. Okay, yeah, we're playing Northern Illinois. Comes to Iowa, not a big deal. Whatever, should be able to take care of business. I want to talk about, in my opinion, what's been a very quiet Bill Belichick offseason.
It's North Carolina versus someone.
TCU in Dublin, right. Ireland.
Interesting.
And just look at all the, oh man, Bill Belichick, all this and that, oh his girlfriend, and then as soon as that first season over, and like the carousel that was the carnival that everyone wanted to be, finally was like, oh, it was a terrible first season, he's trash. Oh, that's what happens when like 80-90% of your rosters are transfers. So I'm curious to see, with as quiet as it's been, what North Carolina team is going to come out of the gates here. I'm very intrigued by that. That's something I'll be keeping an eye on Saturday, August 29th at 11 a.m.
Yeah, man, it's going to be really interesting what happens with North Carolina and TCU. That game's going to be interesting. I do expect the Frogs to beat up on them, to be honest. I expect that. But I will say this. It has been an extremely quiet offseason for Bill Belichick, especially what we're accustomed to. I don't think there has ever been an off season where he's been extremely this quiet. I'm wondering if all the rumors about how the school was considering firing him really were true. I'm really wondering about that. And I think that's kind of why it's been quiet. I think they slowly but steadily needed to put their foot down and build their recruiting program up. I still don't even think the job is done. I don't think the job is done yet. I still think there's a lot more work to do, but I do expect a more improved North Carolina. I'm not going to say they're going to come out and win every game, but I'm still thinking maybe a 500 team. Not as bad as last year, but I think they win a couple more games.
It's funny, and this just happens with us. I think we're all on the same wavelength in our brains sometimes, because I was thinking about Belichick just before the show started, and uh, I don't remember if I was quite on the show yet, but I remember talking to at least Mystic about Belichick and the whole thing about him being fired, and I thought it was bullcrap from the get-go,
Yeah.
because like it's one season. They brought him in knowing they weren't going to be good. He literally went and got his own Tua. He went and got a left-handed Alabama quarterback who was known for playing from the pocket, who was undersized. Like, who did anybody actually think they were going to win with a bunch of two-star recruits? No. Belichick is trying to build what he did for the Patriots, a pipeline where he develops his own talents from freshmen to, by the time they're juniors, they're starting and they're playing at their best. So it's just, they need to, it's going to take time. I don't even know if this year is going to be great for them. It'll be better. I think you're right with maybe 2 more games or so. But I think the expectation of him walking in as an NFL head coach and somehow turning that school around and making it some great program overnight was just asinine to begin with. But that, again, that could just be me.
Speaking of which, if you guys want to check out some great content from earlier in 4th and 10 U's history, check out some of the archived content. One of the earlier episodes, just look for this icon. We talked about Bill Belichick and the craziness of his girlfriend and everything here in one of the earlier episodes. So definitely check that out. So, yeah, just because some former content that we did. Go ahead.
Just because you asked the question, by the way, I want you to go after the show, go look at who USF plays this year and tell me how the hell they don't make the playoffs.
Look, I get what you're saying, but I still think that this whole make the playoffs by committee shit, I think that needs to go, bro, to be honest, because I think when it comes down to the playoffs, there needs to be an actual standardized way of making the playoffs. And then for the people that are on the bubble, right, they need to have a standardized requirements, maybe a play-in game or something. I'm just thinking of different ideas because of the fact is the reality is that, granted, I know what you mean that, oh, if they tell me how they're not going to make the playoffs, especially if they can pull off all these wins or whatever, that's great. But does that mean they're the right team to make the playoffs? There was a Texas team that I think that deserved to be in the playoffs more than some of the other teams that made it this year. Just going to point that out. Right.
I agree, but also you can't punish a team. You can't punish a team for who they play. Right? Like, it's not their fault that literally the best team they're playing this year is their division rivals, which is basically just Navy and Memphis, right? Like, everybody else are like tomato cans, quote Lewis phrase, right? Like they might have the easiest schedule in all of college sports. That's why I said they might not lose but 2 games this year if they're a good team.
Look, for me, it's this. So the Power 4 schools, right, the top 4 conferences, their champion should be an automatic bid in, right? And then you look at the other teams that are in lower conferences. If they win their championship game, I think they should be in too. I think the championship game needs to mean something. But I think for some of these schools, they do need to have some type of prove it mechanism in it. That's where where I'm with it. I get it. You can't hold them against against who they play, but you can, because these schools actually negotiate in advance with their schedules, right? Like more recently, you saw USC and Notre Dame renegotiating their rivalry game that they have every year, right? Because they decided to cancel it this past year, right? Ohio State is just made a deal with Alabama. Prior to that, we made a deal with Texas, right? The schools have the right to change up their schedule. They just have to negotiate it out. So yeah, you can blame them for their schedule. You can.
Yeah, but also bigger schools have more say in who they play. So if they're overlooking USF, I mean, because of a brand new head coach, maybe they don't believe that they're going to be a good team. That's what I mean by that. Like USF, the bargaining that Ohio State has, the bargaining that the U have, the bargaining that even I would say Iowa, right, has. It's more than what USF has being in the American Conference. Like it's not the same. We have to put so much more forward to even get these big teams. I don't know how they got as many big teams last year as they did.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Shout out to Tony and the Blitz Pickup. Check out the Blitz Pickup when you can. Great Miami Dolphins content, just general NFL content too. Really good stuff. Check out Tony. Thank you, Tony, and make sure you hit the like button. Definitely appreciate it. So yeah, so those are my thoughts. I was gonna get into. I thought about talking about the. I don't know if you guys saw, but some of the valuations of some of these rosters and how much money they have tied up into some of them. Like Texas, for example, which is leading the pack at like $47 million, followed by Miami and Ohio State at roughly $43 million. And there's several other schools. The amount of millions of dollars that they are pouring into their roster essentially is very interesting. But I think we're going to make that its own show. We're going to talk about that on a different day because there's a whole bunch of different ways we can talk about that. I kind of want to get into the quarterback talk. So are you guys down for that? Is that okay with you guys?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Make sure everybody hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new, turn on the notification bell. And also, if you're a type of person to collect sports cards, memorabilia, that kind of stuff, everything from baseball, football, basketball, even NFL cards, maybe even soccer or Pokemon cards, right? Check out Magic Mike's cards. Check out Magic Mike's. Yes, he is Mike on the mic. The man himself has his own card business. Check him out on Whatnot, even on TikTok. Reach out to him if you're looking for some deals. He definitely has hooked me up. He's the man that got me my Jeremiah Smith signed autograph card, so that I'm going to have graded. So he is that person that hooked me up. So definitely check him out when you get a chance. All right, so let's get into this, right? I'm going to put you guys off to the side here like that. Let's talk about this ranking. Now, just so you guys are aware, this is a ranking that was put out by JD Pickle on On3 Sports. And very interesting. So right off the get-go, this post-spring quarterback ranking has definitely sparked some debate. I know me and Steve don't we disagree with this ranking, specifically some of the names at the top and towards the bottom. But it definitely has sparked a debate across the college football world, because while the talent is on this list is undeniable, I definitely agree. All these guys are talented. Not everyone agrees on the exact order. Dante Moore taking the number one spot makes sense from a pure upside standpoint, especially after reports out of Oregon praised his command of the offense and improved consistency. Still, some believe players like Julian Sand or even Arch Manning have shown a higher overall ceiling against tougher competition, should probably be ahead of him. That's what people are saying. Moore has all the tools, but critics still want to see him dominate over a full season. I want to see him go up against an Indiana or an Ohio State and show a dominating performance, right? That's what I personally want to see. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Also, interesting enough, Trinidad Chambliss being ranked second is another placement that will divide opinions. There's no question that he fits Lane Kiffin's offense perfectly and, bring exactly a dual threat ability at Ole Miss. I mean, he definitely was a Final Four on a Final Four team. So I have to give it up to him. That was the same team that beat Georgia in that bone-crushing defense that Georgia had. So definitely interesting him at number 2. Some would argue Miami's Darian Menza, and I apologize if I don't say the last name correctly, or Julian Sayin deserves to be higher because of their arm talent and overall polish as a passer. Menza especially feels underrated to some observers, considering the buzz surrounding Miami's offense and how much confidence the Hurricane staff has in him heading into the season. The biggest debate may center around Julian Sayin and Arch Manning, sitting outside the top 3. A lot of people around college football believe Sayin is actually the most complete quarterback on board right now. His mechanics, decision-making, and ability to process defenses already look NFL ready. And in fact, believe it or not, this is a true fact. A lot of the debate if he is or isn't a complete quarterback is actually coming directly from Ohio State fans. You guys may not know this, but there's like a mini civil war going on between the Buckeye fans and Julian Sayin. Some people want Tavian St. Clair, who's an amazing athlete, what he did in high school, and I think he's the next star at Ohio State. Some people think we need to give him a chance already. So we'll talk a little bit more about it. But that also being said, further down, you have guys like CJ Carr, Gunnar Stockton, Josh Hoover, all feel like quarterbacks who could dramatically outperform their ranking by midseason. Carr is one I question. That's one that I really debate. I don't think I'm as high on him as this ranking shows. So we'll definitely break that down and see what you guys think. Hoover and Jaden Mavia also are interesting because how they've shown flashes of high-end play, but neither have fully put together a complete season yet. So that's kind of interesting. Overall, the rankings feel like a definitive top 10, but just not in the right order. That's how I feel about it, gentlemen. What do you guys think about this ranking so far?
So I do have on three's article about this list.
Give it to us. Give it to us, definitely.
A gentleman, Daniel Hager, took the picks and the rank and gave a little short snippet for each player. The point of Dante Moore being number 1 overall is basically they believe because it was his first year missing his number 1 wide receiver, and with a superstar tight end in Jamari Johnson, they believe he has the highest ability to become the Heisman winner this year. And then even making another run in the national playoffs under Dan Lanning, which is why they went Dante Moore over everybody else for number 1. Basically, just they think with his number 1 wide receiver back, Evan Stewart, who missed the entirety of the season, Oregon's offense would have the weapon they were missing.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Mystic, off the get-go?
So I definitely don't agree with quite a few places. And I'm actually getting to that, actually. I actually am in the process of rewriting the whole list because I think it's a sham. I pretty much have it rewrote, and y'all, eventually I'll probably get called a homer on the take, but I do think that there's going to be some fluidity to what I'm doing.
Okay. Let's start off with number 10, right? They have both Sam Levitt there and John Mateer. Do you think either of those guys are at number 10 for you? Because
how about this? How about even better? Let's go to the Alva. Let's go to number 11, considering that they do have 11 there, and
Okay.
I'm dropping CJ Carr to number 11.
Thank you. We agree. Okay. So I have CJ Carr at the end of this list. I'm not high on CJ Carr at all. John Mateer. See, John, the argument I'll give you, and please to correct me if I'm wrong, you look at guys like Sam Levitt, you could look at guys like John Mateer. We'll even give you the Dante Moore one at number 1, right? I get why you would be higher on these guys because of the fact that they were considered to be possible draft picks in this past draft that we just had. Dante Moore was a guy that people were mocking left and right of what team he would go to until he decided to stay in school, right? John Mateer, the same thing. Look, for me, CJ Carr didn't do anything for me that really popped out that, oh, this guy is definitely a top 5 kind of guy. Having him at number 6, I'm still not that high on him. Keep going, Mystic. Tell me what else you think.
So I'm kind of in the same sentiments there, but here's another hot take for me. I have Gunnar Stockton at 10.
Another one I agree with.
I don't see enough from the kid. I don't. I feel like he's a product of the system around him and not the other way around. And then I have John Mateer at 9.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that goes. I don't know if you want me to keep going.
Well, let's stop there. Let's get
yep,
point. I want to see, Steve, give me your input on that.
Yeah, I'm taking CJ Carr off this list. I don't get it. Like the argument they made was, oh well, their only 2 losses this year was Miami ranked number 10 and Texas A&M who was ranked number 16. And Carr totaled 514 passing yards and 4 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. Okay, and he had 24 touchdowns across the entire season. Notre Dame was only good because they relied on a certain running back who ended up going where in the NFL draft this year?
Thank you.
And was up for what award this year? The Heisman? Like, come on, dog. Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. He would be off this list for me completely. I'm trying, and I'm not going to say what I was saying to you earlier, Ollie, because it's just going to come off as bias, and I don't want people to take that for what it was. But there's a couple quarterbacks I think missing off of this list. One of which is now at Auburn and is going to prove exactly why I've been saying what I've been saying about him since I've joined this show. The fact that they have CJ Carr and Gunnar Stockton on this list and Sam Levitt off of it, and like, good Lord.
I know I'm not high on CJ Carr, but let me give you devil's advocate. Let's play devil's advocate for a moment, okay? What the other side of the coin is going to say that CJ Carr, he ranked 2nd nationally in QBR with 88.4 and threw over 3,610 yards and had a 77% completion rate, right? Cool, right? You also look at other guys, Josh Hoover, for example, who played with TCU, and I believe now he's playing for Indiana. He beat the single season passing record with over 3,949 yards in 2024 and maintained 3,472 yards in 2025. There's consistency there. Do you understand what I'm saying? The guy, I think he's going to come to Indiana and still put up very similar numbers.
Oh yeah.
CJ Carr, yeah, he may, in my opinion, there is a possibility that he may have peaked in year 1, and that might be the best you'll see him. You may not see him like that anymore. That's just my opinion. I'm not high on CJ Carr. He just didn't do anything that I think that popped off the screen for me. That's where I'm at.
You said CJ Carr threw for how many yards?
3,600 some, I believe. 3,610 yards.
No, he threw for 2,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions last year.
Well, then this is wrong. Then let me see
Yeah,
where they got this.
I'm looking at
Damn.
the ESPN report for his stats last year.
I'm on
He was
ESPN too.
Yeah, CJ Carr was 195 of 293, 66% completion percentage for 2,741 yards and 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Mm, yeah, this is I don't know why it's telling me 3,000 something because that's where they cited this from. Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Let me go to I'm gonna go to the NCAA.com. Hopefully they're not wrong.
Well, if it is the case that he threw for 26 whatever hundred, then yeah, it just further says why we throw him out pretty much at honorable mention number 11 there.
Yeah, that definitely throw him out. Like I said, man, I'm not a fan of this kid. I just was not impressed. How many yards did you say you had, Steve, for CJ Carr?
2,741.
Okay, that's what NCAA has. I don't know why this other stat site that I was looking at has some wrong numbers. Then that's weird.
Sports,
So yeah,
sports,
CJ Carr to the recycling can.
Yeah, throw him to
yeah,
recycling. And I don't really care.
Sports Reference also has him at the same number too.
Yeah, I
That's
trust.
why I was like confused.
Yeah, Sports Reference and the NCAA for when it comes to stats. Those are the two sites that I should trust and always trust. I don't know why. I was just looking at this, and they're saying they're citing it from ESPN. So
Yeah, now that being said, stats don't mean everything, right? But
no.
I feel like in this perspective, like we take in the perspective of teams were not playing like they were afraid of CJ Carr. Teams were playing them like they were afraid of that little, like I said, that certain running back that went to the NFL this year, right? They were scared of Love. They were not about letting Love get off on them, but he did anyway. And I feel like that helped CJ Carr a lot. Now, again, this was his first year starting, so he could get better. I'm not saying he can't get better, but we're talking. This list specifically says top 10 quarterbacks post spring. How can you project him
Thank
to
you.
be a top 10 quarterback when he hasn't proven anything yet? At least Arch, we can go off of those last 6 games, right, of the season. Arch completely started
Steve,
going
follow
up.
me.
Julian Sayin performed, and like he wasn't great in the playoffs, but he performed for the entire season, right? Darren Mensa was a stud last year. Josh Hoover has the pedigree and has been playing well. John Mateer at one point people were talking about as a actual draft pick this year.
Mhm.
CJ Carr has been just okay. He's been a solid quarterback for Notre Dame who is relying on their
Star running
Heisman
back.
Trophy finalist running back. I can't give him credit for that.
I agree.
Look, for me, it kind of looks like this ranking, and you have the article, so you can break it down for us to explain it. But for me, it looks like the ranking is based on the talent that's around the QBs, if you really think about it. Because regardless how you look at it, Notre Dame still has talent. They just picked up 2 Ohio State receivers for God's sakes, right? And those are 4-star, 5-star kind of guys. You look at guys like I'll even argue Indiana, though they've had a lot of turnover, they have Signetti there still, right? He'll find a way and find talent on that team and make sure that they have talent. Texas, they have the most expensive roster in football, and for a fact that they have talent. Julian Sayin, surrounded by talent. Even at Ole Miss, it's an SEC team. There's always going to be talent on an SEC team, no matter which way you look around it. My point is that some of these teams looked like they're based on talent. The only one that I question, because I am kind of higher on this kid, is Sam Levitt. Sam Levitt's injured, so I think that's kind of what the issue and why he isn't necessarily ranked higher here. But I do think that it would follow the same suit, to be honest.
Well, they were calling they're calling him the honorable mention. in the article.
Really?
Yeah, that's why he's off to the side. He's the honorable mention.
I disagree with that. Oh man. All right. So we all agree CJ Carr can either be off this list or be number 10 at the very least, right? Or at the very most, right?
Say that one more time.
So we all agree CJ Carr should be kicked off this list or be number 10 at the very worst, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, I'll give him an honorable mention because that's how much I want him off the top 10.
Yes.
Sorry, just I know I'm being a hater right now. John,
No, you're not.
Okay, let's
You're
go to number
being
9.
truthful.
Let's go to number 9. Who's number 9 for you guys?
I have John Mateer at 9.
Yeah, I'm good with John Mateer at 9.
Should I go to 8?
I don't agree.
Ooh, what do you got? Who do you got?
I have Gunnar Stockton.
Well, see, yeah,
I took him off the list, so that's.
I put Gunnar Stockton at 10. So I mean,
Okay, all right. So the reason I don't have him at 9, well, who do you have above him that's not on this list? Then, if you're putting him at 10,
I put Gunnar Stockton at 10, John Mateer at 9, and then I have Jaden Mayava at 8.
Mayava at 8. Okay, I have it a little bit different. I will go Jaden Mavia at 9 and then John Mateer at 8.
Ooh, so you're throwing Stockton down at 10 then?
Yes, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Let me explain.
Okay.
John Mateer, with a broken finger or arm, whatever he had last season, found a way to beat teams like Michigan and or Alabama in a very high stakes game in a crowded, noisy area, right? They still found a way to win. Jaden Mavia, the question is, did he do that against a Alabama, or we'll say against that Michigan game, because everyone thought Michigan was going to win that game? To give you an example. Has he been able to do anything like that? I know he had a crazy game against Iowa, right?
I believe so.
Let's go. I'm gonna look him up now. I'm gonna go to ESPN and see who USC played last season and what games they
Yes. Mayava. I don't want to say it was like an overall great game in the sense of like he started off great. I think USC kind of had a slow start, and then like the second half they really turned it on, if I remember right.
The second half, I remember they did turn it on, but John Mateer turned it on earlier on in the season. We were hearing his name from the get-go, and I know even us as Dolphin fans in spaces, people were talking about John Mateer as a possible draft pick. Let's see here. What's your thoughts, Steve, while we're waiting on me, while I pull this up?
Yeah, I mean, I had Stockton and Carr off the list. I would put Sam Levitt on this list in front of both of them. I don't care about the injury. And I said I wasn't going to, but because of how we're going over who we had in spots, like if I told you you have a quarterback in college who completed a season doing something that only 10 other quarterbacks have ever done in the history of college sports, and those quarterbacks being Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, and Vince Young being the big names, and Colin Kaepernick. Would you say that he probably did something that is pretty notable if he's doing something only those guys have done? Would you say it's notable?
What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
Mystic.
Absolutely.
You would say that's notable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to throw for over 3,000 yards and rush for over 1,000 yards, that's pretty notable. That's
Oh yeah,
who's playing at Auburn this year. The fact that he's not even on this list, and you have guys like Gunner Stockton who had 2,500 yards in total this year, and CJ Carr less than around 2,700. Like the fact that these guys are on the list, I don't know how you don't have Bynum Brown on here. I would have, even if he's 10, right? Bynum
for sure.
Brown, John Mateer, Jaden, I always suck at saying is that Mayavea or how
Yeah, I think it's Mayava, but I'm not sure.
Maeva, Josh Hoover. If that's the 10 to 7, I think that's really good for this list.
For
And then
sure.
you can build up from there.
That's kind of what I was kind of making at when it comes to my list and how I made it. I think it'll make more sense. I think again, Steve kind of saw where I was going with it, because then I have Josh Hoover at 7, based on what he did at TCU, based on what we know, Kurt Signetti's going to be. That team's going to be ready. I expect him to have a talent like Josh Hoover to come in. I don't really expect any level of play to go down. If anything, they might even get better from an offensive standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just keep thinking like if you would stick a player with that kind of talent in the situation that CJ Carr or Gunnar Stockton had, I think we're having a different conversation about who those quarterbacks are and who Bynum Brown was. And that's why I keep making that argument. I mean, the guy was up for the Heisman Trophy last year. He just didn't, because of how USF fell apart, he didn't get the notable at the end of the season. And it's not a bias thing. Like, go watch the guy play football, and he's easily on the level of the upper guys on this list. And that's why I'm kind of excited to see what he does at Auburn this year. He's at a school with a true number one wide receiver in Cam Coleman. So, or sorry, no, Cam Coleman went to Texas. So we'll see what the roster looks like over there. I'd have to go relook at it, but he's
Mm-hmm.
on a better roster than he was, and I just it's killing me that I get, and even their own argument for these two being on the list is like, oh well, they're CJ Carr is a first year quarterback, so imagine what he'll be. And Gunnar Stockton, look at what Georgia did last year. Like it wasn't Georgia's defense. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. In regards to Mavia, or however you say his name, he did have a notable win against Michigan. I'll give him that. He did lose to Notre Dame. He did lose to had an interesting game with Iowa that they had to go to overtime, I believe. Let me go back to where I was finding that information. Here we go. So they back to it. Here we go. Yeah, they lost to Notre Dame. It looks like he beat teams he should beat. Trying to see where he lost to Oregon. That was a big time game. Yeah, it just looks like he beat who he should beat and then lost to who he should have lost to. That's basically what it comes down to. And my question is this: USC had one of the top recruiting classes this past recruiting cycle. Do they have enough power to replace a Mekhi Lemon or a Jacoby Lane? Is he going to have the same type of talent around him?
That's a solid question.
Can we trust that with his arm alone, can he overcome that lack of talent? Look, I saw Mavia make some throws that I was like, hot damn, that's a good throw. Like, wow.
Yes, and that's kind of why it was hard for me. Yeah, that's why it's hard for me at times that I'm like, but it's like it's his lack of consistency that I'm like, okay, I think it's easy to throw him at 8, and I think it's easy for me to put Hoover at 7.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely know where you're coming from. But at the same time, and I think we both can agree to this, when you have games, how do I put this? When you have a game where it's the loudest you ever going to hear it in your career and you come away with a win, I hold that to a higher value and standard than you beating who you should be beating and losing to who you probably are going to lose to, right? Mateer was a nobody quarterback that had an injured arm of some kind or shoulder or something,
Yep.
and he throws like sideways. It's like the weirdest mechanic I've ever seen. Found a way to beat a team like Alabama in the most noisiest, loudest stadium you'll ever hear, right? And he found a way to win those games. Everybody thought Michigan was going to go there and beat up Oklahoma. It was a primetime game. And what was it? It was really a primetime bitch match on the sideline of Michigan when you see Bryce Underwood blaming his players for their inability and his inability to not throw an interception, right? That's what you saw. For me, has Jaden Mavia had that test like Mateer has? That's my question. I think his arm talent is better, so there's that. Now I'm questioning my own take, thinking that Mateer was better. I don't know.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
For you two. While you ponder that, who on this list has a higher expectation than Josh Hoover because of where they are?
I would argue that Josh Hoover doesn't have an expectation.
Going to the national champions?
Yes, because that team, though they won the national championship, and I'll never take anything away from Indiana. They put on an amazing performance. They went from the most losingest program to winning it all, right? In a span of 2 seasons with Cignetti. I'll never take that away from him. But those teams, the back-to-back teams that he's had in the playoffs, were fully there because he went into the transfer portal, and 90% of his team was a much older athlete than a lot of these other teams. He had veterans that he brought in from like Hemby from Maryland, right? Omar Cooper, for example. These players were seasoned vets that he brought in, and we just saw a lot of those vets go to the NFL now. So can he back it up in his recruiting? I know they had a better recruiting season than the previous years. I know that for a fact.
That's why
I still don't know what to expect with Indiana, to be honest.
But that's why I asked that question just before Mystic jumps onto it. I asked that for that exact reason. They lost how much of their team to the NFL, and they are the national champions. They are a franchise franchise. I always say that. They are a school, a program that went from being one of the worst, if not the worst, to the best over the last 2 years, or one of the best over the last 2 years. I think he has to walk in with the expectations on his shoulders of he's got to continue what they've been doing, and he's got to do it with a good amount of that team missing and new recruits in the building. That's why I kind of asked it.
I don't know that. Hot take. I said this on one of our shows already, and I'll probably end up saying it 1 or 2 more times. Curt Cignetti is the next dynasty in college football. It's not going to matter who comes through that door, talent-wise. It's not going to matter who he has behind center. He's going to go ahead and recruit those guys. He's going to have good talent, right? They're not going to be low-level guys. The team we saw last year will probably be like the least talented team he'll probably have for like the next foreseeable future. Curt Cignetti is the standard at Indiana, and that's what makes it the difference. He sets the standard. He sets the tone. You're going to come in, and this is the way you're going to play football in my program. We don't have many guys like that, and the last guy we saw like that, his name was Nick Saban, and he won quite a few national championships. I got the same vibes from that dude. He is all business. You will come in, you will do this, you will take care of business. If you're not, you won't be on the field. He already jumped one of his top recruits for wearing gold shoes on the practice field. So that shit ain't gonna happen. He ripped his ass. Like it's. I'm telling you. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first to tell you I'm wrong. But I just got a gut feeling, Kurt Signetti, like that. That one time that we just saw, it's not going to be the last. This dude is going to have a lot to say about college football.
I don't disagree with you. I definitely think Signetti is going to be a name that we're going to have around for a while. Don't get me wrong. I just think that you just lost a whole bunch of talent. It's different for Indiana than it is Ohio State. Ohio State, yes, we lost a shit ton of talent, but it's Ohio State. They have the talent behind the talent behind the talent, right? We've been doing this for a long period of time. Indiana has been doing it for the past 2 seasons. I think he can bounce back, but I wouldn't be surprised if there would be just a 1-year off season until he's back there again. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that he can't do it.
I think I'd agree with you if he actually had 5-star recruits last year. He didn't have it.
To be honest, though, he didn't need them. That's the point.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like the level, he had 3-star recruits, he had 4-star recruits. Everybody has 3 to 4-star recruits.
But here's this is the part that I don't think you may understand, or maybe we disagree on this. Okay, I do understand that he didn't have 5-star recruits all over the place, right? But he had decent veterans in college football, guys that have been playing for several years, right? You look at that, having a player that's been in college football for several years is almost like having a 5-star recruit, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
High football IQ guys for sure.
That's kind of what I'm saying. They have the football IQ to know what to do, so there's not so much of a development standpoint.
We're kind of just running in to hit the. I feel you.
If you have 5-star, whereas you have 5-star recruits, a lot of the talent and know-how is given to them naturally. So there's not very much development on that aspect. It's like the little things, like how to take care of your body and stuff like that. You would have to teach. I think now he's going to have a lot of more of those higher talented players. So I think that there's not going to be much of a drop off, but I still don't know what to expect with him having a team that's not as seasoned as it was the last 2 seasons, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes so. Yes, I mean, from that standpoint, I'm going to have to see what his roster looks like to know. Did he get any of those, veteran type guys that we just talk about in the college football to help center that team? That's something I'll have to look into. But I'm also not worried about him elevating people's level of play. I mean, talk about the quarterback that he just brought in, Josh Hoover. I think Josh Hoover has a hell of a football IQ and should easily be able to come in and run that offense, right?
Another seasoned vet. That's my point. Is like he brings in guys that have been playing, and even you look at Mendoza. Mendoza was at Cal. We didn't really know his name, but he had a hell of a game against Miami.
Yep.
And then comes to Indiana and say, "Hey, hold my beer." And that's what he did. So I can expect him to maybe find another guy like that. Will be as special as that season? I don't know.
We'll have to see for sure.
We'll wait to see what happens. All right, I've made a decision. I do agree. CJ Carr can kick cans. Gunnar Stockton, I have at 10. I will have, for me, I'm going to say I'm still, even though I'm high on Mavia, I like what I see. He does have to see, I have to see who his receivers are because he has a lot to make up for losing Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby. I'm going to say Jaden Mavia. I'll say Gunnar Stockton at 10. Jaden Mavia I'll have at 9. I'm still, actually, Josh Hoover. Ooh. Know what? I'm going to go Josh Hoover at 9. Jaden Mavia at 8. John Mateer at 7. And I'm going to say Sam Levitt is my number 6.
Oh, you got me. Sam Levitt at 6 is what I had.
Yeah, Sam Levitt was special this past season, and I think he can still do it. What do you think about that, Steve? That's where I'm at.
I'm fine with that. Like I said, I would have had Bynum at 7, so Levitt at 6 is fine with me.
All right. What do you guys think in the audience? Like, what do you guys think? Do you agree? Gunnar Stockton at 10, followed by Hoover, Mavia, and then John Mateer? Or do you think just because the kid won it big against Alabama and was able to beat Michigan, had a pretty impressive season, was that not enough to impress you? Do you think John Mateer at 10? Tell me what you think in the chat.
I think my number 5 is going to be the hottest take so far.
Number 5,
Dante Moore.
Dante Moore.
I don't think that's a hot take.
He's good, but I think too many times in those big games he's inconsistent. He'll give you a series or two where he plays good, and he'll give you a series or 3 where he's just like, what the hell was that? You know, I need more consistency in those big games. Can he get to him? Yes, he can get to him. I need you to perform well in them. I need more than 2-3 series at a time, right? So that's my thoughts with him.
What do you think of that, Steve?
I don't hate that. I would rather put Trinidad Shambles there. It's one season. I can't. It's one season. Like Dante Moore, if I remember correctly, like he did play sometimes, so we could see the elevation in his play, right? But I do think Moore's a better quarterback than Trinidad Shambles is. I would see. I believe in Arch Moore. I think Julian Sayan's on the uprise. I damn sure believe in Darren Mensa more. So I would say Trinidad at 5 for me.
I'm pretty much with you there. He's my 4. Like I brought him down too.
Well, I will give you that. I do think that. I'm gonna say I don't have Dante Moore at number 5. I think he's really my number 4. Oh, I'm looking at this. I was just looking something up. Dante Moore. Do I have him at number 5?
I mean, I'd be okay with moving him to 4 and taking Trinidad to 5. I'm okay. I think they're really, I think they're interchangeable. I think they really are very similar quarterbacks.
All right, so let's look at who Dante Moore beat, right? Dante Moore beat Texas Tech in the playoffs, and who was that other?
Didn't Shambliss beat?
I'm getting there. You're taking my thunder, mister.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. It's all good, bro. It's all good. But let's talk about Dante Moore first, right? Because I don't agree that he's number 1. I agree with you there.
Yep.
He's definitely not number 1. You look at who he beat last season, right? You look at Oregon. They had the playoff games against Texas Tech and James Madison. Against Texas Tech, they won 23-0. Against James Madison, they won 51-34. Now
they beat USC 42-27. Yeah. They lost by 10 to Indiana, but they also beat Oklahoma State 69-3.
Yeah, so I want to say the strongest defenses that he played against was both Indiana and Texas Tech all season long. No, they didn't play Ohio State this season either.
They beat Penn State when Penn State was ranked number 3 overall in the nation.
They barely beat Iowa, barely. Who has a strong defense.
All right, I guess we'll give it to him. Oh.
They beat 6 ranked teams.
Yeah.
Top 20 ranked teams this season.
That's kind of why I'm looking at it. That's exactly why I was looking at it. But
Trinidad
Chambliss was a no head coach, no had to piece together a coaching staff, right? Because your head coach decided to, I guess he got fired, but he was going to quit anyway. Make the playoffs, and what do? You go into a Final Four game after beating Georgia, who has one of the hardest hitting defenses in all of college football, to be honest. So I have to give it up to the kid. And then he made it interesting. He made it interesting also in the, was it the Miami game that they lost against? That game was interesting. They almost had an opportunity to walk away with that game. Damn. I'm gonna say Menza. I'm sorry, just because he's an unknown with where he's at with Miami right now. Let me look at Menza's. I have to look at everybody equally. So let me look at Menza in his last season. He played for Duke, right?
Yeah, he had 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and almost 4,000 yards.
So then, I mean, I'm okay with just moving Chambliss to 5. We could put Moore at 4.
He beat Clemson. He beat Syracuse. He beat Arizona State in the ACC championship. He lost to Virginia. He lost to the Huskies. He lost to Tulane. But if you look at all those games, he basically had 2 or 3 touchdowns in every single game this year.
Yeah. I think that was it the Arizona State Sun Devils they played, right?
Yeah, 42-39. They won that game. His defense was trash. The Duke's defense was trash.
Wow. It's giving up high scores. Every time you read off a score, I swear it's a high score. That's crazy.
Damn.
It's all right. Ollie's gonna love number 3.
Look, for me, I'm gonna say Trinidad Chambliss. Then at that point, I'm gonna put him at number 5.
For sure.
Dante Moore at number 4. That's where I have him. And then I'll look at Menza, Julian Sand, and then Arch Manning, right?
Yep, those are the 3.
Uh-huh. I think we all agreed without agreeing. We all thought the same thing.
Those are the top 3 for me.
Literally in that order. I got Julian Sand 3, Mensa 2, Arch Manning number 1.
I have a flipped. I have a little bit different than yours, and I'm going to take off this hat because this is a non-homer take. This is just it is what.
Oh, he had to take the hat off, folks. He's trying to convince you. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No. This is my belief. Okay. Regardless, let me go to. Okay, so when you look at and I'll say the stats from last year, the top 2 quarterbacks in the stat ranking, I'll say the top 3, right? You look at Fernando Mendoza, right? You look at Julian Sand at number 2. Julian Mendoza was number 1. You look at Diego Pavia at number 3. And then the number 4 is not even Dante Moore. It's Drew Mestamaker, the guy that was playing for North Texas at the time, I believe. I think he's with Oklahoma State or somebody like that now. I could be wrong about the team, but I think he's with one of those type of teams. Dante Moore is not even on this list. Right? Actually, he's on this list, but way farther down. For me, when I look at some of the stats, I want to look at what they were able to accomplish, right? Julian Sayin is the only guy that is on this top 5 that was a Heisman finalist last season. Just going to point that out. He was number 2 in overall passer rating in the country. Mendoza was number 1. Had over 3,610 yards, 32 passing touchdowns. Had over 77% completion percentage. Right? You look at completions per game for like Dante Moore. Let's look that up real quick. Let me find his name here real quick and I will tell you. He was number 34 in the country, right? He had over 296 completions. So it's just, I got to look at stuff like that to try to figure out who my rankings are. For me, when it comes to Julian Sayin, I do think he deserves to be in the top 2. So for me, it's more like if you're going to go by just talent alone, what the guy has the capability of doing, both with his legs, his arm talent, I'm going to go Arch Manning because I think he has a stronger arm. I think he's definitely more elusive and can run like the wind, as we've seen him be able to do at number 1. But being a game manager and a guy that I think that can do a lot and keep his poise, almost like, and I'm not calling him a Hurst type of quarterback, or saying that he's Hurst, but he kind of reminds me of that guy that doesn't allow a lot of stuff bother him based on what's going on in a high stakes game. He kind of keeps his poise. I'm going to go Julian Sayin number 2, and I have Menza at number 3. Something you got to think about. Yes, Miami has a lot of talent still, but they are losing CJ Daniels. They are losing Mainoa, the big time offensive tackle. There is some turnover on that Hurricanes team, so I'm going to see what they're going to do.
They lost,
but I think. Say that again.
They lost both tackles, and
they lost both their tackles, right? So there's some turnover there that's going to happen. There's going to be some wait and see. They still have their what's his name? Their big time receiver,
Malachi Tony.
Yeah, Malachi Tony. They still have him. I think they still have their running back too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they still have some talent there, but there's some turnover, and I want to wait and see what happens there, to be honest.
They lost 3/5 of their offensive line. They lost Maui Noah. They lost the big 6'7", 6'8" monster Bell on the other side, and they lost Inez Cooper, who was, I believe, their left guard.
Yeah, and you look at Ohio State, for example. There's not much of a drop off, right? Yes, there is on the defensive side of the ball. There's quite a few players that I'm going to question. I still believe in Kenyatta Jackson. He's a South Florida boy. If you don't know him, check him out. I still believe that he has a lot to prove as well on the defensive side. But on the offensive side, the offensive line is still there. Yes, they lost a few players here or there, but the offensive line is still pretty much intact. They did lose some weapons at the tight end position, but the receivers, for the most part, are all still there. Brandon is still there. Jeremiah Smith, the receiver of receivers, is still there. In fact, they brought in another 5-star recruit named Chris Henry, right? Chris Henry Jr. is there, right? They still have running backs like Bo Jackson who are still there, right? My point is that I don't expect a huge drop-off from Julian Sayin. I still think he's going to come in and provide similar stats that you saw last season. And that's why I still think he's a top 3 finisher on this ranking. I think there's a bigger wait and see with Darian Menza than I think there is with Julian Sayin. So that's why I have Julian Sayin at number 2. I have Arch Manning, which has a whole lot of talent. He showed flashes of it. In fact, I want to say he was probably much the hottest quarterback in the second half of the season. And I think the NCAA or the playoff committee, whatever you want to call it. I think they did them dirty because I think they deserve to be in it versus some of these other schools that were in that playoff at the end of the season. What do you guys think of that? Arch Manning, number one overall, followed by Julian Sayin and Darian Mensah.
Yeah, so when you guys break it down that way, you know, the loss of talent, you know, at Miami, things of that such, I can understand putting Mensah at 3 and saying at 2. I just understand.
But there's more. There's more, Mystic, though. There's more. As I said earlier in the show, Ohio State is divided. The fan base is divided over Julian Sayin. There's a huge portion of this fan base that's saying that Tavian St. Clair or some of these other guys should get starting or get the job or they have in the tank, right? Because they don't believe in Julian Sayin based on what happened in the end of the season. They lost to Indiana, then following it up with the Hurricane loss. Granted, those two teams they were, I want to say, between Ohio State, Indiana, and Miami, you could say that was the top 3 defenses in the country, to be honest.
For sure.
Literally was.
At least each one of those were in the top 4 for sure, right? And it's hard to say that, he's the reason they screwed up. Yeah, was a bad throw, and I think Jacoby Thomas or whatever his name is, he's either Thomas or Scott in the secondary of Miami went to the house with it. I can't remember who it was in that game. There was a point that Ohio State was, clicking at a certain point, was making things a little bit interesting against Miami. In the Indiana game, they were leading for the most part. They were leading. And it was not to I think the last quarter that Indiana finally took the lead and held on to it. Those are 2 tough matchups. So am I, as a fan, going to hold it against Julian Sayin? No, because if you think about it, this is his first season starting an entire season, right? He didn't start his freshman season, and he got a whole season, and he played first game against Texas. He didn't make any mistakes. He led the country in QBR, completion percentage, was a real big-time consideration for the Heisman, and was a top 4 Heisman finalist. You got to give it to him that way. I have to give it to him. And I don't think there's
fan base is overreacting.
Yes, I do think the fan base, they're overreacting a little bit. But I am interested to see what Tavian St. Clair has, because I think he's super uber talented as well. So, but he's smaller. He's a smaller quarterback, and I think he's more mobile, even though Julian is a mobile quarterback too. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I do think that overall, the top 2 names, and I'll even argue the top 2 names in the second half of the season that I was hearing a lot about, was Arch Manning and Julian Sayin. Those were the top 2 names. And I think the top 2 names will go into the season as the top 2 quarterbacks. Dante Moore, definitely, I think he does have something to prove. And I do think that he could move all the way up to number 3. So we'll see. I'm really interested if Darian Mensah is going to pick up, where Miami was, being they were the second team runner up, I guess, in the championship game. Are we going to see another run? I think he's talented enough. I think he's talented enough to be able to do it. The question is, how quickly were some of the new names that are going to be on your offensive line, and some who's going to be the next receiver next to Malachi Tony? You know what I mean? You probably have some names already picked out. I don't know who they are, but I want to see what happens. You're not really losing much of your starting rotation at receiver at Ohio State, right? The names that matter are still there. So that's why there's not much of a drop off for me. I don't know. Does that make sense, Mystic? Does that make sense on what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
What do you think, Steve?
I think it makes perfect sense. I think Miami's gonna figure it out for themselves, and because they have some depth there and some younger guys to fill the guys who went to the draft. So I don't necessarily know I think Mensa will be just fine. But I agree with the way you laid out the final three. I agree.
I'm curious, the article that you have, what did they say about the Arch Manning or Julian Sand? Like even having Julian Sand above Arch Manning is kind of surprising to me. Because like I said, the second half of the season, Arch Manning was on fire.
So Ohio State quarterback Julian Sand more than lived up to the hype in his first season as the Buckeyes starter in 2025. The I'm not Carlsbad native passed for 3,600 yards and 32 touchdowns, which is 8 interceptions, and led Ohio State to an unblemished 12-0 regular season record and an appearance in the college football playoffs. Sayan will return to Columbus for his 2026 campaign and will likely enter the season one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy. Uh, on threes, Ari Wasserman, Julian Sayan's insane accuracy. Uh, he throws the ball, a beautiful ball, and is certainly good enough to win a national championship at Ohio State. The one thing I would nag on him is maybe I'm being overly nitpicky here, but all the spectacular plays that Ohio State made this year, I feel like were because the receiver was awesome, not because who was delivering it. That's what he said.
Wow. Wow. Curious, that's interesting. Because I want to say it was like the last three games outside of the Michigan game. I want to say it was the last three games. Julian Sand did not have one or the other Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith at times. I remember getting blasted in the space by Dade saying, "What the hell did you do to Jeremiah? How dare you guys injure him?" or whatever, blaming Ohio State for that. But I want to say I see what they mean by it. It'll be very interesting. I definitely would like to see Julian Sand without some of these names. He's not going to have Carnell Tate, so that'll be interesting.
You want the Arch Manning one too?
Yeah, I want to know what they said there. Yeah.
They said it's safe to say Arch Manning entering the 2025 season, his first as the Texas starter, with massive expectations. While he didn't quite get off to the best start, he finished extremely strong. Across Manning's final 8 games in the 2025 season, he led Texas to a 7-1 records with strong wins over Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, and Michigan. In that span, he passed for over 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. He also rushed for over 200 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. Although 155 and 2 touchdowns came against the win against the Wolverines in the Citrus Bowl. Another big year is expected from Arch Manning as the Longhorns seek to return to the college playoffs.
Interesting.
But that goes to what we've been saying, right? And one reason why I have Arch where I do, those final 8 games of the year was what we were looking for and what we were promised. That bowl game against Michigan, he looked like who we were promised he was going to be, who people told us he was going to be. Like my hate for him as the beginning of the year was solely on the fact that I was promised things that I did not believe was going to be there, and I was going to let him show me who he was, but I was going to argue against anybody telling me he was already ready when I knew he wasn't.
Yeah.
He showed those final 8 games that he's ready, and if that continues the next year, even though I feel like all three of us kind of sound like we're repeating it over and over, if that is what he looks like next season, he's going to be the best quarterback in college.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. If we get that version of Arch Manning, absolutely he'll be the number one quarterback in college. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. What are your thoughts about what Steve said, Mystic?
Honestly, I kind of feel the same way when it comes to the Arch situation. I just again, I hate to say I'm repeating myself. It's like a broken record, but like his situation and the Bill Belichick situation. I mean, let's talk about that. Like there was so much hype around both of those people, so much talk, expectation. This is what they got to be. This is what we got to see. all that kind of stuff. They both had their, obviously, we won't talk about UNC and what their season was. It is what it is. But Arch started off slow. I feel like, again, a lot of that hype, right? It's been totally quiet this offseason. We haven't heard, oh my goodness, Arch Manning, Heisman season coming, all this high talk. No, it's quiet under the radar. In my opinion, kids out there working, getting better, improving his craft. I expect this year to be a big season for Arch Manning.
I definitely agree. Like, listen, the reality is this season is going to be big for a lot of these names. Sam Levitt, John Mateer for sure. Big season for Trindad Chambliss, who had to go to court just to be able to play another season. He had to go to multiple court hearings and stuff. Finally gets a win so he can play one more season at Ole Miss.
4 of them.
Yeah, 4 of them. 4 of them to be exact. It's going to be a huge season for Arch Manning and Julian Sayin because those are some of the top names in the 2027 draft, including Dante Moore. So it's going to be really interesting. Very interesting. It's going to be very high-flying football this season. And yeah, everybody hit the like button. Tell me, do you agree with how we rated these players? Top 3 for us: Arch Manning, Julian Sayin, then Darian Menza, right? That's what we ended up with as our top 3?
Yes.
Yeah, do you guys agree with that? Please
Yes,
let me know if you agree or disagree, or what name did we not mention in this top 10 that you thought should be mentioned, right?
Bynum Brown. Oh,
What did you say? Say it again.
Bynum Brown. Oh.
Yeah,
Bynum
you
Brown.
damn right.
Yeah. I'll mention a name that I think could have been used. What about, I mentioned him earlier, Drew Mestamaker.
Can I throw I don't know if he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. I'm not. But I think a guy just to watch the season this year because he's at a bigger program. There's going to be more talent around him.
Mm-hmm.
He went with his head coach there. Again, people heard me talk about him. Everyone say, "Oh, Homer this, Homer that." I'm still saying, keep an eye on Rocco Becht. I think he's going to do something at Penn State this year. I think Penn State's going to look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, I'm not saying top 10 stuff. I'm just saying maybe just keep an eye on that kid.
Yeah, I would definitely keep an eye on him. One name that I think the reason that he's really not even on this list, but had he not had the issue recently that I thought was talented enough for a Texas Tech team, Brandon Scoresby, I think could have been in the top 10 had he not had the gambling issue. So that's sad that he's not on here. But Sam Levitt,
his career might be over.
Yeah, it might be over, which is scary. Have we heard? Has Dylan Raiola really transferred from Oregon to Texas Tech yet? Has that happened?
No.
I was saying it should happen. They really need to make that happen for sure. All right. In that case, we're gonna go to the bottom line. Listen, the bottom line is there is super talent in college football from all phases of the game, from the offense, defense, special teams, coaches. We've been talking a lot about coaches recently over the past couple episodes. In fact, I'm going to share something that I think is going to make Mystic cringe. So let's me share this. This came on from On3, and this was posted 3 hours ago. Oh, let me take this picture off. Oops, my bad. Here we go. On3, new coaches poll has Lane Kiffin at number 1, followed by Kyle Whittingham at Michigan at number 2, Pete Golding number 3 at Ole Miss, Matt Campbell at Penn State, and then John Summerall to finish the top 5. I don't like Lane Kiffin at number 1. Lane Kiffin has never really, in my opinion, been able to accomplish anything let alone finish strong at a program. He left Ole Miss before the playoffs, and for me, regardless of the situation, regardless if he got fired or not, regardless if you were thinking about the LSU, you keep your mouth shut and you tell them to wait until the season is completely over. That's how it is for me. And the fact that you walked away from a program that you guys were on a high roll with, and I really felt you had something to really battle there, and you left it high and dry, in my opinion, regardless of the situation. I don't know if you guys heard the news more recently saying that he left because of the certain symbolism and stuff that Ole Miss has represented. I don't want to get into that conversation right now, but regardless if that's true or not, right? I can't give you credit for it. So for me, you're not going to be that number one guy. You're not going to be that number one head coach, to be honest. I'll give it to a Kyle Whittingham. I'll give it to a Pete Golding, who stood in his place when it mattered the most. I'll give it to a Matt Campbell. But I'm not going to give it to Lane Kiffin. What do you guys think of that?
I like it a lot. It's funny. I love how all of us have like literally the same like thought processes, from players to coaches to how things work out. Because I'm so with you. Lane Kiffin, in my opinion, is so overrated. I get so tired of hearing about the guy. Pete Golding and Matt Campbell, John Summerall. I'm gonna put John Summerall up there because that dude has done a whole lot of something with a whole lot of nothing. I expect Matt Campbell to do something. I think he's at 3, and I'm putting Pete Golding at 2. I think he showed it because he was a part of the run for Ole Miss this last postseason, wasn't he?
Pete Golding, yes, he was the head coach that they used in the offseason.
That's what I thought. I liked him a lot. I really did. I liked the presence and really how he had the team prepared in such a weird time, right?
Yeah.
And he was able to really ground him. Like that signs a really good head coach. So I like it.
I still think Lane Kiffin is one of the most overhyped coaches for absolutely no damn reason. But hey, it is what it is. I would take Whittingham. I would take Campbell. Like, yeah, no, I'm good.
So CCRR is telling me that Ryan Day must be the worst head coach ever. How do you not win with multiple first rounders? Ohio State has had multiple first rounders for several years in a row, and we hadn't won, right? We won last year. You also look at Nick Saban. Nick Saban had multiple first rounders for several years that he did not win, right?
Y'all just won a national championship.
Yeah, we just won last year, bro. Where you been? I think he's just trying to troll, though. I think that's the CCR just being his trolling self. That's perfect.
Love it. That's funny.
But yeah, I agree. Pete Golding at number 3 at the very least. I agree with that. I don't know if I'm ready for Matt Campbell at number 2, because I don't think Matt Campbell has ever had the resources that Penn State's going to provide him at Iowa State at all. I don't think he ever had that. So I do expect him to do a lot. I like Kyle Whittingham at number 2. Actually, you know what? I kind of see Matt Campbell at number 2, but who would be number 1?
Probably Whittingham, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I put John up there personally, just because of what he's done with those prior teams that he's been with. Pretty much pulling the most out of nothing. I mean, let's be honest. But I think it also comes with the expectation that you're going to do something down there in Florida that hasn't been done in a while. Like, it's that fine line, if you ask me.
Listen, Matt Campbell has done a lot too. Remember, he was the coach at University of Toledo, where I'm from. And
you gotta tell me, man. I mean, if you want to put Matt Campbell up there, I would not have no problem with that either. I'm just throwing that out there. Like,
yeah,
ISU. I'm telling you guys, ISU is going to be down bad this year. I expect the Iowa Hawkeyes to absolutely dominate that team when they play week 2 for the rivalry. And Matt Campbell made that thing a very honest rivalry, which hasn't happened in a while. So keep that in mind.
Look, for me, Lane Kiffin doesn't even make this top 5 to me. That I don't really consider him a new coach. I just find him as an annoying coach that keeps finding a way to be in the news cycle just to make himself relevant, to be honest. Look, for me, and I don't even I know people are probably saying, well, what about the stuff he said about Ole Miss? He might not be wrong about it. I just think that why didn't he state some of that stuff earlier when he was supposedly fired from the team? Why did it come out now? Is my argument on why I don't. Though he has a good point, and I agree with him. I think that the timing of when you release this type of information matters. He should have released that off the get-go. Is basically what I'm saying. If it were true, rather than something just a narrative that he needs to hold on to, if that makes sense. Kyle Whittingham has a hell of a history at Utah. He was considered one of the more tough-minded coaches. I think for me, number one is a tie between Matt Campbell and Kyle Whittingham, to be honest. Both are going to a big-time program, both at Michigan and Penn State. Not taking away from Utah. I just don't think they pour in money like Michigan does, or even a Penn State does, as much
I got
money.
a hot take for you. Y'all can have the fun with the hot take if you want. I think we're talking about Kyle Whittingham in the next 2 years, like we're talking about Kurt Cinetti right now.
What do you think about that, Mystic? I'll go last.
It wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm going to say that Kyle Whittingham is going to take a little bit longer than Cignetti. Cignetti was year one at Indiana. He was already there. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to take at least 2 years before Kyle really becomes that guy. And that's
why I said in the next 2 years. That's why I said the next
homer take, by the way. Because if you really want me to turn up, fuck Michigan, fuck Kyle Whittingham. Nobody gives a fuck about that team up north. That's what I would have said. But no, to be fair to him, because I am a fan, I like the guy, right? Him and Urban Meyer are good friends. I think it's going to take at least a year or two. My biggest question mark for Michigan has to do with quarterback. And a lot of people are high on Bryce Underwood. I'm not. I don't think he has the talent. I don't think he has the leadership know-how and the maturity to lead a team like what you saw Mendoza do at Indiana, for example. I don't think he has that leadership mentality yet. Can Kyle Whittingham teach him that? Maybe. But I think it's going to take a year or two transition. Matt Campbell, I kind of like your argument about doing something with nothing. Matt Campbell made Toledo kind of respectable during his stay there. Then he went to Iowa. He definitely made Iowa State respectable. That's for sure. And now he's going to have millions more dollars to play with at a bigger program. It's going to be really interesting. What do you think, Mystic?
I think it's going to be absolutely interesting, and I cannot wait to see how this new season plays out with all these new head coaches.
All right. All right, Mystic, give us your final thoughts.
Man of least words.
Yes, I think he's on mute.
Yeah, actually, I was talking the whole time on mute there. I sorely apologize. No, I'm super excited for the season, the head coaches, to see how these quarterbacks make out. It's going to be, I think this season, I think the postseason, we had a great postseason this last year, right? I think this postseason coming up, I think is going to be even better with the potential of the quarterback matchups that we might see. As it being my last take of the night, again, I appreciate all of you taking the time to come through, listen to what we have to say on a Tuesday night and or morning, wherever you're at. Or if you're up in the mountains, taking the time to see us, we appreciate you. like, subscribe, tune in on Tuesdays. We'll see you soon.
Definitely like and subscribe. Steve, final words.
I think I kind of echo this quite a bit, but especially with these quarterbacks, it's going to be a very interesting season coming in, going into the 2026 season for college sports. We'll get more into it obviously in 2027 around 2027 once we swing around to there. But this is supposed to be one of the most loaded draft classes for quarterback in forever. So a lot of these guys have a lot to prove, and there's going to be a lot of jockeying for that first overall quarterback pick next year. So these guys got a lot of battling and fighting, and it's only going to make college sports better this year. So I'm excited.
Definitely exciting. Listen, everybody hit the like button. I appreciate everybody watching us. We had over 30 people watching tonight. It was great. Next episode, we're going to be breaking down a specific conference. We're going to, the back, me and the boys are going to talk about what conference that's going to be, but it's going to be a smaller conference with smaller schools. We're going to break the whole conference down, talk about it. We're going to probably have this theme of each episode, have a different theme and subject that we're going to be doing. But I wanted to say prayers to someone that is well known in, I'd say, pop culture, who played collegiate sports, specifically football and basketball collegiately, and played for the San Diego Chargers. I just found out he passed away at the age of 71. Everybody knows him as Org from Revenge of the Nerds. Donald Richard Gibb has passed away at the age of 71. May rest in peace, and may my prayers are with him and his family. If you guys don't know him, some of you might know him from his acting career. That's actually where he's more known than anything else. Revenge of the Nerds, like pretty much all of them. He was like the jock who turned into a nerd. If you ever watch, if you know, you know. In addition, he was very well known for Bloodsport 1 and 2 he was in. So definitely prayers out to him. Just wanted to say that. But hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new. If you're watching on X or anywhere else, not YouTube, come over to @4th and 10 YouTube channel. Follow us there. Once we get to 100, I promise you we're going to have a lot of giveaways. I have a new partnership possibly lined up. I got to talk to the guys in the back that I'm going to tell them about. But make sure you guys hit the like button. And until next time, you all have a great night. We'll see you.